From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wavelength. Well, as we say goodbye to 1991, it will undoubtedly be remembered as the year of the flood. Never before in the history of LCRA has the agency played such a vital role in protecting lives of people who live along the river. This has truly been a historic period of time for LCRA for a number of reasons, and we thought the best way to tell the story would be to take you through it one day at a time. The rain started falling Thursday, December 19th. The storm system was centered over the hill country near Llano and Burnett. By Friday the 20th, after 24 hours of heavy rain, the creeks and rivers above Austin were full. The Llano River crested with a flow of 82,000 cubic feet per second, more than 200 times its normal flow. The Pedernales had a flow of nearly 90,000 CFS, and all of it was headed directly for the Highland Lakes. On Friday, 6 gates were opened at Buchanan Dam, followed by 3.5 at Wirtz and 10 gates at Starkey. LCRA engineers were watching the storm and began to make plans to release water from Lake Travis in an effort to pass the water downstream. But Mother Nature had other plans.
When the heavy rains hit on downstream on Onion Creek and in the Austin area, and all of a sudden our avenue of escape for those floodwaters from the Llano and the Pedernales had been cut off. And so we were faced then with how to try to balance the situation from being just an upstream problem to a downstream problem as well.
The Colorado River is heading towards major flooding in the range below Austin, downstream to its mouth.
By Saturday morning, December 21st, the situation was critical. The Colorado River below Austin was on a rampage, and Lake Travis had risen 16 feet in 24 hours, and it was still coming up.
The very intense rainfall continues over portions of the Highland Lakes area and the river below Austin.
To make matters worse, a second major storm had moved in and was pounding Austin, Garfield, and Bastrop. Onion Creek looked like a river, and the flood was beginning to claim homes and property.
But I have seen it before like that one time.
Garfield resident Anna Marie Rush, who normally has a 30-foot drop to the river, watched helplessly as the water continued to rise. So what's your plan of action today? What are you doing?
Get the heck out of here!
So within about an hour or so, we're going to need your best shot on downstream.
By Saturday afternoon, LCRA's emergency management team was in place.
Good morning, LCRA.
The automated lake information line received more than 2,800 calls on Saturday alone. For many people, the news was not comforting.
At this time, the flooding conditions downstream through Austin to Bastrop are so severe that we cannot make any releases from Mansfield Dam. Lake Travis is a flood control reservoir, and as such is designed and built and operated so that we do not increase flooding conditions downstream of the dam.
We started opening floodgates at Lake Travis 4 p.m. Saturday the 21st. We could not open gates until that time because of the flooding downstream at Bastrop, and only until the crest passed Bastrop and started to recede could we start opening floodgates at Lake Travis.
By 7 o'clock, 4 gates were open at Mansfield Dam, and the releases were timed so they would reach Bastrop after the river peaked. All of the dams performed flawlessly during the flood, but as Richard Gaylord tells us, it was Mansfield Dam that prevented massive flooding from occurring downstream.
Construction of Mansfield Dam began in 1937 near the settlement of Marshall's Ford. It was completed in 1941 and serves as the only flood control structure in the LCRA system. It is more than 7,000 feet long and 266 feet high. These tunnels are called galleries. They wind their way through the depths of Mansfield Dam, providing hydro crews with access to the floodgates. It is an eerie place, especially when you consider that we're more than 100 feet below the surface of Lake Travis, and that this concrete wall holds back more than 1 million acre-feet of water. Now, there are 24 floodgates here at the dam, and each one is controlled by an electric motor like this. Open a floodgate and you release 5,000 cubic feet of water per second. That's over 3 billion gallons of water in a day for each gate. During the flood, operators were kept busy not only controlling the floodgates, but constantly monitoring the hydroelectric generators, which were operating at full capacity.
We've got 3 units on. Number 1 and number 2 is running 33 megawatts. Number 2 units running 25 megawatts. We've got number 10 and number 12 floodgates open. We're going to open number 14 at 6, and then one more at 7, total of 4.
During what is normally a dry time of the year, the 6 LCRA dams were generating electricity around the clock, providing a combined 240 megawatts of power. Meanwhile, the lake continued to rise.
We've just lost everything. The only thing you can say here is total devastation.
As Lake Travis rose above the 704 mark, about 50 homes at Graveyard Point near Lakeway were underwater. The development known as the island fulfilled its name as the causeway connecting it to land disappeared. At 3 a.m., the river crested in Bastrop with a flow of over 70,000 cubic feet per second. Nearly 100 homes were flooded, causing millions of dollars in damage. Some ranchers were unable to move livestock to high ground before the flood hit. But by late afternoon, the waters began to recede, just in time for the releases from Travis to arrive.
My feeling was, did we release water too soon? Did we wait too long? And we just had to wait through the day Sunday, the 22nd, to find out if indeed we had hit it about right. And we found out that we did a pretty good job. We followed the peak down through Bastrop. Had we waited a couple more days, certainly Travis would have gone over 716. We could have seen then the 100-year release being made from Mansfield Dam.
With 4 gates open, the thundering white water below Mansfield Dam brought out sightseers by the hundreds. They all wanted to catch a first-hand glimpse of this historic event.
I've never seen anything like this here before.
Monday came as a day of welcomed relief. The rain clouds were finally replaced by brilliant sunshine and gusty winds, which helped to dry out the saturated ground. General Manager Mark Rose briefed local elected officials on the current state of the river and what had happened so far.
These lakes were built for this purpose. They were built to protect the lives of the people in Austin, Texas. They were built to protect the lives of the people in Bastrop and Smithville and LaGrange and Wharton and Bay City. That's my job. That's the job of the people who work for LCRA.
I'm comforted by the report from the LCRA and the Corps of Engineers. I think these gates, the flood controls have been handled well, and we should be reassured from it.
Merry Christmas from Graveyard Point.
Jim Sarver and many other residents of Graveyard Point on Lake Travis tried not to let the high water dampen their Christmas spirit. Others fought back with all they had.
I'm staying in my house, and I have 2 generators hooked up, and I have electricity, so I got my deep freeze, my refrigerator going. So I'm in good shape.
The destruction on Lake Travis was a grim reminder of the risk of building within the floodplain. And as the lake continued its gradual rise, the flood crest on the river pushed on downstream. By late Tuesday, the 24th, it reached Columbus, where the river had a peak flow of 81,500 CFS, the highest since the 1938 flood, and the highest since the dams were built.
The folks on Lake Travis, you can't imagine how bad that situation must have been to see their Christmas presents floating around in their house, realize that their Christmas was ruined, their kids' Christmas was ruined, that their homes were ruined, and you know, words can't describe how bad that situation is, or how bad we felt that it happened, how bad we felt that they built there in the first place, how bad we felt that the flood had gotten higher than it ever had gotten before in Lake Travis, and that there was absolutely nothing that we could do about it.
On Christmas Day, Lake Travis hit its all-time high level of 710.4, just 4 feet below the spillway at Mansfield Dam. A fifth gate was opened at noon, and the lake level slowly started back down.
On December 26, the floodwaters continued to move downstream towards Wharton, but as the wall of water reached the tiny community of Garwood, a small miracle happened. In Garwood, the river jumped the bank and flooded thousands of acres of pasture land, creating a lake that acted as a holding pond. Experts now believe that it was this accidental lake that held back the massive floodwaters that were headed directly for Wharton, which sustained only minor damage. Meanwhile, Lake Travis remained above 710. 5 gates remained open, the most since the flood of 1957. In the pre-dawn hours of the 27th, a satellite truck rolls in at the request of ABC TV in New York. With Tom Miller Dam as a backdrop, Mark Rose answers questions about the flood on Good Morning America.
Well, was there no possible way to avoid this? Was there no way at all?
Now, all the flooding that we've had on Lake Travis, those homes are built in the floodplain. They're in that 100-year floodplain, and we're approaching that level of flood all throughout the system.
How are the residents reacting? How are they coping?
Well, I think people are getting through the shock now. There's been a fair amount of anger, as you can imagine. A lot of it directed at the authorities, but I can tell you the folks here at LCRA, there's no question in my mind, but they've saved lives downstream, and that's why these dams are built, to save lives. You don't send a ravaging flood down the river.
On the evening of the 27th, the river crests in Bay City, again setting a record flow at 65,000 CFS. On December 28th, more than a week after passing through Austin, the leading edge of the floodwaters finally enter the Gulf of Mexico.
Is it reasonable to try to keep the average lake level a little bit lower so that you'd have a little bit more of a reserve?
By January 6th, the public had lots of questions about the flood.
Isn't there a regulation saying you can't build below 715 or 685?
I'm a resident of the island, and to my knowledge, I don't think that we had a lot of advance notice of this.
Can you speak to the quality of the water in the lake today?
You said something to the effect if maybe you'd reacted sooner, or that it only meant the difference in between 705 and 710.
But the most frequently asked question was from people on Lake Travis who, not surprisingly, wanted to know why LCRA didn't lower the lake before the flood hit.
If we had done what you wanted us to do, we would have flooded Austin, flooded Bastrop. We would have released water prior to those big rains. My friend, that is what would have happened. That is real. In order for me and us to get the lake down to 660 so that you would not have been flooded on the 20th, that water would have been in Bastrop on the 21st when all those rains came.
In the weeks following the flood, LCRA had 7 town meetings up and down the river. The meetings were designed to help people understand how LCRA manages floodwaters. Many of the people attending were victims of the flood and were now turning their attention to what they considered to be the worst part of the disaster. As the waters receded, people began the process of cleaning up after the devastating flood, and LCRA moved in heavy equipment and manpower to help them get the job done. When Graveyard Point residents saw LCRA electric crews drive in on January 8th, they knew things were about to get better.
Oh, it's great, and we really do appreciate LCRA sending someone out with the front loader, and that is the difficult part of any flood.
Were you glad to see these crews today?
Definitely. It's a great help. It's almost impossible when we start cleaning up where we're going to put it, you know.
And we're at about 3 areas right now. We're at Briarcliff, we're here, and we're over at Lago Vista. My understanding, we're going to kind of move along the river wherever people need assistance, just to clean up the mess and more than anything to keep it out of the river.
What effect the flood has had on water quality isn't known yet, but crews are testing at 15 different sites from Buchanan to the Gulf. In addition, the Riverwatch network is testing the water at 45 sites on Lake Travis. One of the biggest concerns is the effect the flood has had on septic systems and wells that were covered in water.
The dissolved oxygen, we've seen a slight increase, and of course we see a lot more solids in the water. And there has been a lot of fecal contamination, and that's gradually going away, but we're still testing for that.
Scientists say that the water quality is getting better every day, and that the rich blue color that Lake Travis is famous for should return soon.
And to wrap up our report, here are some interesting facts about the flood of 1991.
Okay, just a moment.
The LCRA switchboard received more than 16,500 phone calls in 1 week. Now that doesn't include calls to individual extensions. More than 4,200 flood advisories were faxed to the news media by public information. Buchanan and Travis hit new historical highs, and downstream of Austin, the river was at its highest level since the dams were built. There were 29 floodgates opened at one time at LCRA's hydro facilities. Now that's more than at any other time in history. And although the flood tested LCRA's abilities, those who were closest to the situation remained cool and confident through the whole thing.
Our job was made easy because of the folks years ago that with pencils and paper designed these dams, designed Mansfield Dam, and designed the operating plan that we used. And so these days we're sitting here with computers and all kinds of radio telemetry information, and our job was easy compared to the job they did to develop the system that we have that worked to perfection during this event.
I hope that we don't have to go through another one of these anytime soon, but the expertise, the team spirit, the team that has been developed, I take a great deal of confidence that if the next one occurs, we're ready for it.
And the tide pulls out. It's an angry sea, but there is no doubt that the lighthouse will keep shining out to warn the lonely sailors. The lightning strikes and the wind cuts cold through the sailor's bones to the sailor's soul, till there's nothing left that he can hold except the rolling ocean. But I am ready for the storm. Yes, sir, ready. I am ready for the storm. I'm ready for the storm.
Every second of every day of every year, we watch the Colorado River. Our eyes are never off the river. Most of the time, we are concerned about having enough water, stretching our supplies to balance the needs of cities, farmers, and tourists. Clouds do gather, however, and heavy rains fall. Unpredictably, and then again predictably, the power of these rains can be tremendous. The Colorado River quickly becomes a ravaging flood. It is in these times the true meaning of our existence comes into being. All our practice, all our planning must pay off. All our concrete, equipment, and personal energies are tested. The LCRA was established because the Colorado River is not a river of moderation. Managing floodwaters is the foundation on which we were created. These floods become our monuments, a part of our culture, a part of our dialogue. The 1913 flood, the flood of '35, the '50s floods that broke the drought, the Memorial Day flood of '81, the '87 flood, and now the Christmas flood of 1991. They show us what we can control and show us when we are powerless and can only warn, help evacuate, and help clean up. During these times, tense and serious as they are, there is a sense of excitement, the energy of teamwork. This is true whether it is an electric or a water event. In the Christmas freeze of 1989 and the Christmas flood of 1991, I saw the same spirit and teamwork take over and motivate us. We didn't lose the electrical system in December '89, and we beat the flood of '91. Also during these times, we learned once again that our jobs are real and the work we do is very important. The feeling of being one company comes alive. Whether you are a volunteer on the switchboard, staff the emergency center, monitor the gauges at the SOC, make the lake level forecast, open gates, talk to the press, operate the front-end loaders during the cleanup, inspect septic tanks, take water quality samples, or talk to your neighbors about the event at the grocery store or at church, you are a part of the team that hundreds of thousands of people depend upon. And when the rain stops and the river recedes, we mark our successes, explore areas of improvement, and turn our eyes to what could have been, to what life would be like without these dams, to the tragic consequences the river would bring if we didn't do our job. The Colorado River has given us its best shot to date. This is the single largest flood in our system's history. The equivalent of 2 lakes the size of Travis poured into our system without a single loss of life, and we held property damage to a minimum. This is a remarkable accomplishment. It's truly hard for me to find the words to adequately express the pride I feel for the job the authority has done. But as the cleanup process continues and we take praise for what we have done, our eyes are still on the river. Someday, maybe this spring, maybe 10 years from now, storm clouds will gather, heavy rains will fall, and another monument will be marked. Our job is to be ready. I am confident we will.
Yes, sir, ready.